coming to you from North Atlanta Studios and brought to you by Mesmerize Media. It's the Advantage of Adversity podcast. And now, here's your host, Glenn Carver.
Hello, my name is Glenn Carver, and I'm your host for the Advantage of Adversity podcast, coming to you from the podcast studios at Mesmerize Media in North Atlanta. And really excited about our guest today. By the way, the mission of the podcast is to showcase people with inspiring stories. And you're going to hear an incredibly inspiring story. People who have dealt with significant adversity in either their personal and or professional lives. And in spite of that adversity, they've made a decision to move through it and find the opportunity and maybe even find the advantage in the adversity. Today, I've got a longtime friend of mine, one of my dearest friends on earth, Michael McKellar. He and I have known each other, 37 years now. Unbelievable. He's a brother from another mother. And the reason I wanted to have Michael on the show today is that Michael is paraplegic. He's been in an electric wheelchair ever since we met 38 years ago. And to say that he's been through some adversity would be a gross understatement. So I want to take a deep dive into his life and his challenges and how he's taken the hand of cards that he was dealt and created a wonderful life for himself. So please welcome to the Advantage of Adversity, Mr. Michael McKellar. Michael, welcome,
Hello.
my friend.
Hey, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Good, brother. Good.
I thought you lived in Florida, but it looks like you're in the mountain range today.
You know, I snapped my fingers and I ended up somewhere else on the planet. I didn't even know where I am.
Oh,
actually, that's from Death Valley. I was on a road trip a few years ago and went through there, and it was pretty spectacular vistage.
I've heard that. Well, hey, welcome to the show. Really excited about. I don't care if I do 1,000 or 2,000 of these shows. This will be one of my favorite all-time shows, and just glad to have you on, and want everybody to learn more about you and what you've been through in your life and hear your story and really how you've handled adversity. Your adversity has been epic, and I know you have some great life lessons to share with us. So let's go back to the day you and I met. I want to say it was the spring of 1986. It was definitely at UGA. And I think we're channeling each other today. We're channeling our inner Bulldogs because we're both wearing red and black. But do you recall the day we met, Michael? And if so, tell us the story from your perspective.
Well, I would say it was a vivid memory, but it really wasn't a vivid memory. It was a bit foggy because if I remember correctly, I was at Sussex Pool where I used to hang out periodically, and I saw these guys over in the corner. It wasn't very full that day. Saw these 3 or 4 guys over in the corner, and they had a keg between them, and I was rather thirsty. So I went over there and I said, "Hey guys, can I drink your keg?" And you said you can drink all you can hold, and we've been friends ever since.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's what I call in sales terminology, assuming the close.
That's right.
Not may I have a beer or two? Can I drink your keg?
I wanted the whole thing.
That was love at first sight. So a little bit about your professional background before we jump into your personal life. For the past 20 years, you've been involved. You've been on a phenomenal team that has sold all of the franchises for HomeVestors. And folks, if you don't know what HomeVestors is, you may not know that name. I'm sure you've seen a billboard or a sign on a park bench, or any number of marketing efforts that says "We buy ugly houses." And that is a home buying franchise that Michael and his brother Mark, another one of my dear friends, and his team have sold all those franchises across, I guess, North America for the past 20 years. Michael, tell us a little bit about HomeVestors and how that has been for you over the years.
Yeah, Mark and I started working with HomeVestors as independent development agents. They call them DA. It's this independent sales and support rep, basically. About around 2001, I want to say. And it's a little over 20 years. And our role in the beginning was just to sell franchises. That was our background the previous 10 years or so. we've been in franchise development, creating our own franchise and selling that and selling for other people as well. And so the opportunity came up to join Home Investors to do it for them. They were only about 5 years old at the time, and they had, if I remember correctly, around 40 franchises. They were selling maybe 80 a year. And Mark, being the master salesperson that he is,
Yes, he is.
Talked them into allowing us to sell from their dead leads. And, they figured they had nothing to lose by letting us give it a try. And we had some benchmarks we promised to meet. Basically, we told them we could do more in 3 months than they do in a year. They didn't believe it.
That's a bold claim, as Tony Robbins would say.
Very bold commitment. But we know what we can do. And I think we did it. We almost doubled what we committed in the same amount of time.
Wow.
So it blew their minds that we could do that. And they brought us on board. And long story short, in the last 20 something years, we've sold, I'd say about 1,000 franchises for them. Give or take, maybe a few more, maybe 1,200, something like that. And we also support the franchises that a lot of them, not all of the ones, but a lot of the ones we sell, we also support them. So we teach them how to buy houses and how to get the financing and just how to be an effective and profitable real estate investor. Yeah. And it's been a great business and been with them this whole time.
Well, I know it's been very good for you financially over the years and has afforded you lots of opportunities, and just so happy for you. So I just wanted to let people know what you do professionally in addition to the adversity that you deal with on a daily basis. So let's talk about that. Let's go back in time. And you were born with normal health, just like me and most people, but something happened when you were a young boy. You were diagnosed with some sort of spinal condition, and tell us what that spinal condition was, and what age were you, and how did that fork in the road impact your life immediately, Michael?
It's a great question. And I would say the first time in which my parents felt like there was some kind of issue was when I was probably about 3. And most times children by that age are pretty ambulatory. They're moving around pretty well on their feet, and they've got good use of their hands. And I didn't. I would fall down a lot. I didn't seem to grab things with my hands as well as other people did. And so they didn't really know what was going on. And keep in mind, this is in the mid 60s. And so the world's changed a lot medically.
Sure.
Since those days. But, we went to the local hospital, and they didn't have any idea what was going on. So they sent us to Atlanta, to Scottish Rite Hospital, which is a big children's hospital.
Sure. Wonderful hospital.
Yeah, very, very good hospital. And they diagnosed me with a spinal muscular disorder that would affect my hands and my feet and my back, and it would affect the development of my muscles, but not sensation. I would have feeling everywhere. I just wouldn't have a lot of strength.
Right.
And this we didn't. The name they gave it back then was wrong, so I'm not going to confuse people with the name. But much later on, I was diagnosed accurately with what's called spinal muscular atrophy, type 2 or type 3.
Oh, I know about atrophy.
Yeah, don't you? You've been through a little bit of that. And so basically, it affected the way the muscles developed, which in turn affected my mobility. But I was able to stand and walk until it's about 12.
Okay.
And then I developed scoliosis. That's curvature of the spine, which can be very, very debilitating and very painful. So I had to wear a back brace to help keep that straight. And during that time, I just lost the ability to walk. It was just too difficult with the bracing.
So at age 12, approximately, you lost your ability to walk. That's
right. But I was still very strong upper body. And even though my hands were affected by the disability, the condition, but I was still pretty functional. And I played the drums. I swam. I wrestled. I would do things like I I taught myself how to throw a knife. I used to play tetherball. I had go-kart. I had a go-kart and ATV. So I was pretty active at that age of my life until about age 15. When I was 15, my back had gotten bad enough that I was going to have surgery. And so when I was almost 15, I had the surgery. They basically stretched the back out, and they put a metal rod from high to low, holding it in place. And then they
Attached to your spine.
They basically fused the spine into one piece.
Wow.
And it's a really traumatic, invasive surgery, even to this day. And this was back in 1980 when I did this. Even today, it's still pretty tough. But if you have to have it, you have to have it. And so, about 2 weeks after surgery, I had lost some weight. I'd lost some strength. I was able to move around somewhat, but the doctor said, "Look, it's going to take you about 6 months, but you should get pretty much everything back, and you'll be even better." I'm like, "Great." So about 2 weeks after surgery, I woke up one morning before going to school, and I couldn't raise my arms off the bed, and I was, of course, pretty disturbed by that.
That would be an understatement.
I called for my parents, and they came running in, and they would pick my hand up and let go, and it would just drop dead weight onto the bed. Now, I could feel it all the way to my toes, but I couldn't move below the neck. And long story short, the doctors had no idea what happened. They thought about taking the rod out, but that would cause more problems. And they basically said, "We don't know what to do, but good luck to you." And
but good luck.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't know what else to say, but we don't know what happened. We don't know what to do.
Oof.
Anything we do is probably going to make it worse. So you just, really good luck and do the therapies or whatever you can find that will help you. And I mean, they weren't callous; they were very compassionate about it. And I'm just sort of condensing it.
Sure.
But in essence, they really didn't know what to do. So on my own initiative and with my parents' encouragement, I started doing physical therapy, and I did that every day for a couple of years, and then cut back to once a week. And over time, I got a fair amount of my strength back, but not all of it. Unfortunately, I was never able to play the drums again. I was not able to swim. I wasn't able to stand. But in time, I was able to get, to roll over in bed, get out of bed, take a shower, get dressed, feed myself, drive a vehicle, write. All those things I had to relearn how to do. But I did. It took about 5 years of a lot of dedication and pain and suffering and frustration and effort, but I got there, and I didn't quit. It would have been easy to give up.
Yes, certainly.
But I didn't, and we can talk a lot more about some of the tricks I learned to help me get through that, if you'd like. I'll tell you right now, one in particular was every day I would give myself an affirmation, and it was, "Today was tough, but wasn't as bad as yesterday, and tomorrow will be better."
Ooh,
and I
that's
said
fantastic, Michael. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it really helped. Just convincing myself, and frankly, nobody else believed it. Okay, I'll say that right now, that no other member of my family, or probably extended circle, including the physicians, nobody thought I was going to recover.
Well,
but I did. I said, I'm not giving up. I'm going to do whatever I can, and I didn't get it all back, but I got a lot of it back. And
well,
when you met me, I had recovered a lot of that.
Well, that's one of the things I love about you the most. That speaks volumes to your mental toughness. Some people are physically tough, but I think being mentally tough is volumes more important than being physically tough. So, at the point that you realize, let's recap a little bit. You get the diagnosis early in life. It becomes very apparent that you're going to have this massively invasive surgery and have a metal rod fused to your spine and not walk again. What was the initial emotional impact on you, Michael? What was the fear level and what was the emotional impact on your family? How do you process all that with such a what I call a massive curveball?
Yeah, that was like getting hit with an avalanche.
Sure.
It was, to say disruptive and frustrating and terrifying would be a massive understatement. It was all those things and a lot more. And I don't think that anyone can properly prepare themselves for the shock of going from okay to really not okay really quickly.
Yeah.
And you know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
you just I think shock is the word. I was in shock for months. My family was in shock for months. We went from one life to a very different life.
Yeah.
All of us,
Literally.
not just me, the whole family.
Right.
And it was really, really, really difficult. But it brings out of you who you really are.
Sure.
I think.
Sure.
If you're a fighter and you're committed to improving life, no matter what that looks like, then you have a certain amount of uh, defiance.
Sure.
And I refused to let anybody tell me that I can't.
Love it. I call that
Even,
piss and vinegar.
oh man, yeah, I was drinking vinegar daily. It's and and I can't say that there weren't times that I didn't wonder how the hell I was going to get through all this.
Yeah.
Because I had a lot of those days. But I think the key that I learned back then, and I've kept this, and I think this is a really, if I were to say there's one thing that I've learned that is most important in overcoming something like this, it's that if you've got the commitment and you can devote the resources, whatever that looks like, there's 100% chance that you can improve your life.
It's phenomenal.
Now, can't be attached to what it looks like though. And that's something that I had to learn, that the life I had before was gone.
Yeah.
And it took a long time to accept that.
Sure.
But I created a new life that was very powerful. And it wasn't by choice. Just like what you're going through, it's not by choice.
Right.
What I went through was not by choice, but it was the cards I was dealt.
Yes.
And I played them.
Yes.
And those daily affirmations and that commitment, like, I don't care what you metaphorically say, I'm going to do that. And you've got to have that level of commitment, or else you lose right away.
Yeah. Well, it's incredible to see what you've been through and how you've handled it mentally and emotionally over the decades. And you've been such an incredible inspiration to me and all the people that know you and love you. And it's just incredible how you've processed your adversity and your tragedy, if you will. And was there ever any, I'm thinking of, PTSD right now, post-traumatic stress disorder. Did you deal with any of that in those months after it was you got slammed? I mean, one of my doctors said, Glenn, you got struck by a bolt of lightning. I said, Michael, you got hit by a freight train. I mean, your life went from this to this.
Yeah.
Did you go through therapy? How did you deal with it emotionally?
I did not go through any kind of therapy back then. Again, keep in mind, I lived in a smaller community, Athens, Georgia, which at the time was, smaller than it is now. And I lived out in the sticks, and those kinds of things just weren't really done so much in the 70s, early 80s. And, but so I pulled it out of myself. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back, but I had to figure it out on my own. And I had some support from my family. I'm not going to say they weren't there for me, because they were in a lot of ways. But they also had doubts about my ability to recover. And I never bought into that. And so there was some PTSD, I'm quite sure. But here's one of the things I learned, Glenn, that I think that's helped me a lot. And that's that, you know, you got to give yourself permission to not be okay today.
Okay. That's a big deal.
Today.
Right.
But I don't give myself permission to do it again tomorrow.
Okay. Wow.
So today is the day I feel like crap and I'm frustrated. My life's not working. It's not what I want. It's not the way I want it to go. You know, and I'm kind of wallowing a little bit of that, you know, that pity a little bit. And it may last a few hours or it may go a day or two, but at some point I tell myself, all right, you've done that, get over it now and get on with it. And that's been my mantra. And
yeah, yes, it has.
The more you do that, you know, the quicker you get over it. Like even today, you know, I still have days where I'm like, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Yeah.
You know, really, you know, but most days I'm not in that place. Most days I'm fine. Most days I feel pretty good about where I am in life. And, you know, I may have some daily struggles, but we all have something. So I let it go.
Yeah.
You know, so that early on, I think it's really important for someone to adopt that mindset of, I'm not going to be perfect in this. They're going to be really rough days, but it's not going to defeat me.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset you have to have, or else it will defeat you.
Yes. Well, I love it, Michael. And I think you have exhibited an extraordinary ability in your lifetime to step outside of yourself and observe yourself and catch yourself, you know, because you're human. I mean, to me, you're Superman, but you're still human. And you catch yourselves and, hey, I'm in a pity party. That's okay. I can do that for a day or two. I'm not doing it for a week or a month or a year, or certainly a lifetime. And I'll never forget something that you told me that's inspired me in my lifetime, or since I've known you, is that when you lived in Atlanta, you used to go to a Shepherd Spinal Center, that world-class facility for physical therapy in the pool. And I'll never forget you mentioning guys who were paralyzed, you know, God bless them, from the neck down. And, you know, nobody can tell right now, but you are in an electric wheelchair. You live in an electric wheelchair, and you saw guys driving their electric wheelchair with their chin or their teeth with a straw or a stick. And that gave you perspective. You know, it gave you perspective that, yeah, things could be worse. Things can always be worse. And
Yeah.
I've always loved that about you, and I've admired you about that. Everything. And that's what this show is all about, to give people perspective, to give them hope and realize, okay, this might suck. You know, I'm eating as my brother-in-law says, I might be eating a shit sandwich right now, but it can get better. But it's up to me, and it's how I process my reality that's going to dictate the quality of my life. And I'd say you're a black belt, that brother.
No, well, thank you, man. And you're right. Look, it is a matter of perspective, and I don't care how tough someone has it. Someone else always has it worse.
Yeah.
Okay.
No doubt.
But I looked at some of those guys, and some of them had big smiles on their face. I'm like, you know, if that guy can smile dealing with what he's dealing with,
Yeah.
you know, I got nothing to bitch about.
Yeah. Absolutely. So let's bring down your life to where the rubber meets the road, what we call, you know, activities of daily living, what you have to go through on a daily basis. When we met in college, the first time I saw you on your bed, getting dressed, pulling up your pants and putting your socks on and using tools or implements with hooks that your father had made you, man, I was awe-inspired at what we take for granted just to put our pants on and get dressed and brush our teeth, and, you know, how you transferred from your chair to the toilet or to the shower. And you were very, very self-sufficient back in the 80s and 90s. Just kind of share with people, you know, where you've gone from then to where you are now, because I know you have a lot of home health care and you have a very committed and loyal assistant. But what's life like for Michael McKellar on a daily basis, from the time you wake up to the time you lay your head on the bed at night?
Well, things have changed considerably in my physical world since we met. For about 20 years after my first 5 years of rehab meaning rehabilitation, physical therapy. After the first 5 years, I stabilized, and I was pretty level for about 20 years. And then almost 20 years ago now, I developed a UTI, a bladder infection, and I was going to a new doctor, and they gave me a prescription that I am allergic to, and did not know that. And I took it, and those 3 pills uh, physically debilitated me greatly. In about a week, I lost probably 60% of my function.
Mm.
So I couldn't feed myself, couldn't get out of bed, shower, all those things anymore. Again, within about a week. And I went through all those same emotions that I went through 20 years before.
Yeah, that's freight train
Yeah.
number 2.
And it was again a huge freight train, and I just got back on it, and doing therapy again, and getting my strength back. And within about a year, I developed the ability to drive again. I could feed myself again. I could do transfers from my chair to a bed or to the toilet, and back. I still needed some help, so I got a caregiver then who would come in every morning and help me get up and get my day going. Then he would leave, around after lunchtime, and be gone for the day until that night. I did get married during that time as well, and so she was there to help me with some. Even though I did not want her as my caregiver, there were sometimes she would help me as well. And this went on for about 6 years. And then I was doing some pretty advanced, what I thought was advanced therapies to help me get my strength back and just get my health back. And some of them made me worse. There was some IV therapy I did that some chelation, EDTA, to remove heavy metals that I had built up in my system, which most of us do have. And unfortunately, it was so strong that it debilitated me again and knocked me down again. So I've actually had those traumatic setbacks 4 times in my life. I've had a massive drop down in my abilities. So today, I'm at probably about 20% of where I was when I met you.
Oh, wow.
Strength-wise. I can drive my chair, but I cannot drive a vehicle. Can't feed myself, dress and get out of bed. I need help for all those things. So, and that's been a real adjustment to me too. And this has been true for about 15 years. You think, well, 15 years would be over by now, but not really. It's kind of change. It's a constant battle to to be okay. I have to pull out of me all those tools I used all those years. I have to use those on a regular basis.
Sure.
To keep my head straight. And
sure.
And there's some days I do it, some days are tougher. But so I have a caregiver come in the morning. She gets me, and she's great. She's a real sweet lady from Puerto Rico, a little younger than me, and she's become like a sister. She's family, and I've been working with her for a few years. And she comes in, she helps me get up, and we shower and get dressed and breakfast, and then we go run our appointments. She drives. I have a vehicle, a van that she drives, and then we come back and do lunch, and then she leaves for a few hours and then comes back at night, or somebody else. And I've got other people too. I've got several people that I rotate around depending on the day, and so that's needing someone like that is a real adjustment in life. It's extremely expensive. Unfortunately, insurance does not cover it. It's all out of pocket.
Correct.
But you got to do what you got to do, right? And so I live by myself. I don't have family with me or friends. I live alone, which is the way I like it. And I have people come in and help me as needed. Like today, for example, we went to the chiropractor this morning, and then I came back and I got a massage at my house. I do that kind of routine, every couple of days. I I have a pool that I get in, and I swim a couple times a week with a therapist. I do other kinds of workouts, so acupuncture, all those, a lot of alternative therapies. So that's what it looks like. And all this is to keep me from regressing again.
Sure.
So that's a lot of my chances of improvement are not that great. Okay. But the more effort I put in, the less I will lose later. So a lot of this is paying it forward for myself, just so I don't get worse. And but it's good. It's good though. I've developed friendships with a lot of my providers.
Sure.
And so it's been an interesting chapter to deal with all that.
Well, it's kind of a sad state of affairs that our medical industrial complex is set up such that any pharmaceutical treatment, of course, is covered by insurance. But anything outside of that that's holistic or alternative, like you and I both believe in, is out of pocket. So, fortunately, you've done very well with HomeVestors, and it's afforded you the ability to pay those outstanding home healthcare bills that you continue to do. So that's a bright note in your life for sure.
Yeah, I'm very fortunate, and I'm very grateful that I picked a career path that has allowed me to afford to do these kinds of things, because it is very expensive.
Yeah.
But and if people are listening to this thinking, well, I could never afford that, there are a lot of different ways of doing this kind of care, and what I need may not be what somebody else needs. So, what I need and the way I've chosen to do it has a certain cost associated. If I didn't have the resources to do that, I would make different choices that would work within my budget and still meet my physical needs. Right. So I just want to make sure that people understand that.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So let's shift gears. And, one of the coolest, most inspiring things you've ever done in your lifetime is you produced the Extreme Mike Show. And at one point in your life, you were you were a public speaker, and you produced an Emmy Award-winning show called Extreme Mike. And you documented yourself doing an inordinate amount of extreme adrenaline, boundary pushing activities, and you made a TV show out of it. So tell us about that project. And to me, it's an awesome reflection of your character and your vision, your mental toughness, and quite frankly, your balls, Michael, to do what you've done. So tell us about Extreme Mike and what that meant to you.
Well, man, you taught me how to have balls. So I give you all the credit for that.
That's great.
So it actually started a bit before that, before the project itself. And it started in the mid-90s when I lived in Florida. And I had wanted to learn to scuba dive since I was a kid. I've always been fascinated with Jacques Cousteau and those kinds of shows, just mesmerized by the ocean. But I was not able to swim. And so, in my mind, I kind of put a limiting belief on my ability to learn to scuba. And, but it didn't stop me from dreaming. And so I went to a scuba shop just to kind of browse and bring, kind of daydream. And one day the owner said, Michael, why are you here? And I was like, I'm a little confused with this, but he says, you don't ever buy anything. You come here and just sit around. What are you doing? And I just kind of sat there dumbstruck, like, what am I supposed to say? He said, do you want to learn to scuba dive? I said, yeah. He said, so why don't you? I said, well, I can't swim. And he goes, so? I'm like, well,
just a small gap.
Yeah, I know there are groups that teach scuba instructors to work with people like me, but there was nobody like that in where I live. And I so I had doubts that these guys could teach me. All right, I didn't tell him that, but that was part of my hesitation. He said, I tell you what, if you will bring some people with you that you want to learn to dive with, like family and friends, He said, I'll teach all of you guys to dive, and I'll teach you to be a safe diver, and you'll love it. And I said, okay. So I taught my brother and a few friends into joining me, and we went through the certification. It was difficult. I'll tell you, it was challenging.
I bet.
But I did it, and I got certified and did some open water dives out in the Gulf. And I would tell people the story of how much scuba meant to me, and the challenges I went through and what I had to overcome to enjoy the payoff. And people got inspired. I had some people go and learn to dive because of my story.
It's awesome.
And I was like, man, that's really cool. I was touched by that.
Sure.
So I was at a transition period in life. I moved back to Atlanta, and I had this idea, because this is about the time that reality TV like Survivor and those kinds of shows were just starting to become popular. And I said to myself, there's no reason why I can't do a show that's me doing these crazy extreme sports that I want to do, but I don't know how I'm going to do them. And that'll be part of the show.
Absolutely.
How I'm going to do it, and then do it.
If your why's big enough, the how shows up.
Exactly. Yeah. It's all about commitment. So I wrote a script, talked to some friends that were in the TV business. They were all like, yeah, thumbs up, man, do that. And I found a production a company to assist me. And I decided for my pilot episode, I would go skydiving. And
why not?
Why not? Go all out, right? And so along with the production crew and you and a few other people, I filmed me going down to a jump school, and the whole process of me going through the class and getting suited up with the right jump master. We were going to go tandem, and I filmed me jumping out of a plane and landing. It was a fair amount of drama because we were blown about a couple of 100 yards off course and almost landed in a lake and all kinds of.
The lake with the crocodiles, right?
That's right.
Right. Yeah.
Well, they said to me when we were coming down, and we realized we were not going to be anywhere near our drop zone, the airport. And I'm looking, and he said, "Yeah, we're gonna be over there somewhere." I'm like, all I see is a bunch of tractors in a lake.
Yeah. And
I'm like, oh man, that's not good. And he said, "Well, can I ask you, man, can you swim?" I said, "Dude, that is not an option."
I can scuba dive, but I can't swim.
Yeah, I'll scuba dive, but I can't swim.
Yeah.
I said, "Dude, how deep is that lake?" He goes, "I don't know, man." I'm like, "Dude, no." He goes, "Well, I think I can land us over there." And he put us right between the lake and the tractors. So it was
very convenient.
But all that was on film, and it was a pretty cool experience. You recall it was there. And
that was awesome.
You were there, and
awesome.
It took a few months, but I finally got it edited, and I had a showing at Frankie's Sports Bar in Roswell, or in Dunwoody, Sandy Springs.
What a heyday that was!
Oh man, a couple of hundred of my closest friends were there, and they closed the bar for us exclusively. It was on all the TVs throughout the sports bar, and people loved it. And one of the guys there was a news anchor on one of the local channels, and he through a friend approached me and said, "I want to air this on PBS. Would you be agreeable to that?" Of course.
Sure.
So the next year, it was a few months later, he got it on the air, and so it was a Friday. It was mid-April, a Friday night at 11 p.m. Okay, I'm thinking, who watches PBS 11 o'clock on a Friday? Right? No one's going to watch this show. I'm thinking nobody. Okay, but hey, it's on TV. It's on TV, right?
Right.
So it aired, and I'd had a small, party for that, and it was fun to do that again. And well, the next day was Steeplechase. Remember Steeplechase?
Oh yeah, I remember that very well.
It's the horse race up in North Atlanta, And so that next day, my brother and I and some friends went up there, and I'm not really thinking about it. And the show was on last night, again, who watches it, right? So I was going across this lawn, and I saw this guy was sitting with some friends, and he got up, and he's staring at me, and he's probably, I don't know, maybe 30, 40 yards away. And I'm just, whatever. And he's just staring at me. And then he starts running. I don't mean jogging. I mean running full speed at me. And I'm like, I'm like, what is this guy doing?
Yeah.
I thought he was going to tackle me.
Yeah.
He came literally right up to my face, 6 inches, and said, "Are you that crazy fucker I saw jumping out of an airplane last night?"
Awesome.
I'm like, yeah.
Well, yes, I am.
That was awesome.
Oh, God.
And I started getting more and more of that throughout the day.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, man, that's cool. And then I got interviewed on CNN and CNN International and TBS. And I started getting recognized on the street. And it was, people were very inspired by it. They said, I got recognized in a sporting goods store. I mean, it's kind of funny. So throughout the next few months, my goal was to raise the funds to produce more episodes. And I was talking with some of the networks, making good progress with that. I had an agent in Hollywood that was assisting with that. And we were really close to getting it funded, apparently. And then 9/11 happened.
Yeah.
And 9/11 literally took the wind out of everybody's sails, and
sure,
all the funding sources dried up, and the networks, turned their back. And I did get nominated for an Emmy, which was great. I can say that was a huge accomplishment. But unfortunately, the show didn't go anywhere because of the timing. But it's still. You know what? I had a friend of mine just the other day send me a picture of the videotape I gave her 20 years ago.
Wow.
That she still watches.
That's incredible.
So, pretty cool.
Well, if it's out there anywhere on the internet, we'll put it in the show notes and people can check it out. So
I think I've got it on YouTube. I'll send you the link.
Okay. But an incredible chapter in your life, and I commend you. And you said something very powerful and poignant a few minutes ago. We're all human. We all have these self-imposed limiting beliefs, but make sure your dreams are bigger than your limiting beliefs.
That's a good one.
Your why's got to be bigger than your how. So,
and it's commitment, because a lot of people have dreams, but it's just a dream. It's a fantasy, right? So I think when it goes from dream to goal, when you make that commitment from saying, I want to I will, I think that's the difference maker. And a lot of people stop at dream and they don't make it a goal. They don't do the steps it takes to get there, because it's hard.
Sure.
It takes effort, it takes commitment, a lot of doubt from yourself and others.
Sure.
A lot of times, and to fight through that, it takes a real firm commitment, and not everybody has it. But if they did, their world would be a lot better.
Yes, absolutely. Well, one of your great philosophies, and when I think of Michael McKellar, I think of just get on with it. Maybe that'll be your epitaph someday. Michael, you have an absolute world-class positive outlook and an amazing ability to just get on with it. So what is at the core of what's your paradigm of the world? What's your core of being positive and not letting adversity or dark days get you down where you get stuck in why me and a victim mentality? What's your strategy for staying so positive in spite of adversity?
That's a great question. And it's a hard one to answer, okay, or to give a simple answer. So let me just give you a few nuggets I think to sort of sum up where I'm coming from. One of them is that, success breeds more success. Okay, you're familiar with that. So if you have some successes in life, let's say you want to learn to do this thing, whatever this thing is, and it's challenging, and some people think you might not be able to do it, but you're like, I'm going to do it, and then you figure out how to do it, and you master that task. That is a blueprint for what to do on the next one.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important to develop a blueprint that works for you, whoever the person is. My blueprint was that tomorrow's going to be better than today, and today's better than yesterday.
Yes.
That was part of it. Another part of it was, I can do this. Do I want to? Is this what I choose to do? No. But it's what is in front of me, and it's what I need to do to improve my life. So I don't like being stuck. Okay. And whenever I get stuck, I look hard for ways to get unstuck.
Yes. Yes.
And so I look back on my history, and the skydive is a great example. Okay. And the scuba too. There's no rational reason why I should be able to do that.
Right.
Okay. I don't care about rational reasons. All right. If I see something that I want to do in life, or I'm going to figure out how to get it done. I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Yes.
And I've had to, many times in my life, tell the people that love me that I don't care what they think. I'm going to do it anyway.
Ooh, that's mental toughness.
Now, when you put that out there, you got a spotlight on you now, right? You better deliver, or else they won't listen next time.
Right.
So, so I whenever I put that out there for myself, I find that commitment, and I execute. And it doesn't always work out the way I picture it's going to, but at least I'm working at it, And so those kinds of mantras, those kinds of looking at the past and saying that's a blueprint for what to do in the future, it works if you let it.
Yeah. Wow. I love it, brother. I love it. Just a phenomenal testimony to the human spirit. You are a testimony to the human spirit, Michael. So as we wrap up here, I'm 56. Are you 58 now, or are you?
I'm 57. I'll be 58
coming up. Right. I didn't know people got that old. We're getting old, dude.
Well, I mean, I don't have much. Another, I think a few more months and it's automatic lights out, right?
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, I think it is.
There you go. Seems like
yesterday we were backwards.
We were kids and pups when we met. So you've lived an amazing life. I say in spite of circumstances, you've dealt with it as well as anybody I've ever met in my lifetime. And you're a hero to me and to so many other people who know you and who love you around the world, literally. So, closing question, what does the future hold for Michael McKellar? I think you're almost semi-retired. What does the next chapter look like for you? If you could wave your magic wand, what's your next move going to be? How are you going to impact people from here on out?
Well, and thank you for all the compliments, brother. It's a good question because I'm at a transition right now. Yeah, I'm semi-retiring as we speak. I still have some businesses that I will be involved in part-time. But I'm going to take on some new projects, and traveling a little bit is part of that. But I also I want to figure out a way to get back into the Extreme Mike world, developing some material. I don't think it'll be what I did before. It'll be something new and different. And frankly, I'm still working on that. I'm not sure exactly how that's going to play out. Doing some writing, doing some videos, those kinds of things. I see me doing some of that. But I'm also leaving. I'm leaving space for something that I don't even know. Something is coming that is going to is where I'm going to focus on, and I don't know what it is yet. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
think we call that the field of possibilities.
It is a lot of possibility. And, so I'm not going to stress about it. I'm just going to say, that as I enjoy my free time that I have right now, that I'm developing over the next few weeks, I'm going to also meditate on what's next and how can I be best of service to the world and my community, but also something that's going to light me up and really, give me a charge as well.
Yes.
And I've got some ideas, but it's not a clear picture yet.
Well, you just know that you've got a brigade of fans, people who to know Michael is to love him. And we're all in massive support of what this next chapter looks like for you. And I just want to thank you personally for being a brother to me for 37 years. And who knows how things work. Maybe we met in the past lifetime and we agreed to be brothers in this lifetime. And so just love you, man. And so grateful for you being one of the first guests on the Advantage of Adversity podcast.
Hey, man, it's my honor and pleasure. I appreciate it, brother. And you've been one of my best friends, Glenn, for all these years. And you've actually made a huge difference in my life, too. So I want to thank you for that as well.
Well, I'm honored. Well, folks, how about that for an inspiring interview? I mean, if that doesn't move you, you might want to check your pulse. So, hey, Glenn Carver coming to you from the podcast studio at Mesmerize Media in North Atlanta. Another wonderful, inspiring, deep, real, raw conversation with Extreme Mike himself. Have a phenomenal day and never forget, find the opportunity in adversity.